Hey guys, the Explorer of Horror is finally back, bringing you guys the sadly final review on the Saw franchise. And I say that because it's been really cool revisiting this franchise again. This is a franchise that has kind of done this over the years on my channel. When I started out, I loved the franchise to death. Back in the day, I think this was like one of my favorite franchises to watch. And then over the years, it kind of had the point of view change on the movies. It kind of went from me absolutely loving and adoring the series to just going, nah, it's an alright series for the time that it was made. It came out in an era. But really going back and watching this series again, going back and analyzing the franchise. I'm not going to be reviewing Jigsaw because I have recently reviewed it. That'll just go on to the playlist of reviews. If I remember to, I'll leave a link in the description below, but I'm not sure if I'll remember to or not, so I can't promise anything. But I can say this. When this review is uploaded on Saw the Final Chapter, I will make a playlist, and I will put Jigsaw in there. So if you guys are curious of my thoughts on Jigsaw, the review is right there. Or if most of you guys have seen my review on Jigsaw, you guys know my thoughts on it. But it's been really cool going back and analyzing this franchise and really realizing that this franchise is a bit underrated. Because the first three movies are still categorized as torture porn. And I don't agree with that. I think the first three movies are very vicious. I think they're very gory. And they're very hard to watch at times. But they still have fantastic stories and characters behind them. My favorite Shawnee Smith performance is in Saw 3. So, Saw 1 gets its credit, but Saw 2 and 3 really don't get a lot of good stuff said about them. And they're really good compared to, like, Saw 4 and 5 and this one. But it's been really cool going through the franchise, revisiting some of the movies, and giving my thoughts on them once again. The series has also had a history on this channel. I've reviewed the franchise twice. This is the third and final time I'm reviewing the franchise. And it's been cool revisiting it once again. Now, before I get into the actual review, today's review is on Saw the Final Chapter, or aka Saw 3D the Final Chapter, or aka Saw 3D. We'll get into that in a second, but I wanted to show you guys something real quick. These are some films that, through the week, I've picked up. By the way, I am sorry that I haven't uploaded in a minute. It's been spring break for me, so I have not had any time at all to do reviews. I've been busy doing stuff during spring break. I have really just had no time to really upload. I have had time to edit some stuff. I got a 5-year video made for tomorrow. I'll be uploading that tomorrow. Tonight I'm uploading this video, but tomorrow I have a 5-year video I want to do. And also another nostalgic video I want to do. We'll get to that tomorrow, but I want to do probably 2 videos tomorrow. One's my 5-year video, which I'll save for tomorrow, and one is a very nostalgic one. And I've been wanting to do that because it's still March and I still want to get the nostalgia going because this is still the month of my 5-year anniversary on YouTube. By the way, I know that March 20th has already flown by and I have not done anything on March 20th. I just was unable to do anything on March 20th. I had a couple plans to do something on March 20th, but really none of them panned out, so I wasn't really able to do anything on March 20th, which was the actual date that marked my 5-year anniversary. But nevertheless, I want to make videos this month still. There's still a couple of them I want to do. Hopefully I can squeeze them in at the last minute. But yeah, that's for tomorrow. But I want to show you guys some of the films I picked up. And the first one is not a horror film. It's a Western. And that is Lonesome Dove. And I picked this up because as a kid, I used to watch this movie a lot. It has a lot of great actors in it too. You got Danny Glover, Diane Lane, Tommy Lee Jones, Robert Duvall, Robert Uwick, I just butchered that name, Rick Schroeder, Frederick Forrest, Angela Houston. Some really great actors in this film. And this is a 2-disc set. I don't know if it's a 2-part film. I can't remember if it was a 2-part film. It might be. I think it is, honestly. I think it's a two-parter, this film is. But as a kid, I used to watch this movie because in my family, this has always been a film that I remember all of us sitting down and watching. Whether it was my grandpa, my grandma, my dad, and everybody was just sort of sitting down, and we always used to watch this. And there's two Western movies that kind of been a favorite of my family for years, and that is this and Tombstone. So one day I want to pick up Tombstone because Lonesome Dove and Tombstone are kind of movies that, as a family, we always watch, and it's always cool to hang out and watch Lonesome Dove. Or I wasn't really there when they watched Tombstone, but I remember being there a lot when I was watching Lonesome Dove. So Lonesome Dove isn't just a movie that I enjoy. It's also a movie that I feel is very close to me because, practically my whole family really enjoys it. We can all sit down and watch it. So yeah, it's a very important film to me. It was really cool that I was able to find it. I really have not been able to find this DVD anywhere else, and it's in great condition. But yeah, picked up Lonesome Dove. I also picked up Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, the Blu-ray, which I am doing a review for this because it needs a review. This movie right here, this needs a review. So once I get done reviewing the Saw films and a couple of the other films that I was going to review afterwards, Henry is getting a review, as well as this movie, Clockwork Orange, because I have not really reviewed any Stanley Kubrick films besides The Shining, and this needs a review. So these films are getting reviews as soon as possible, right after my reviews I have planned after the Saw franchise. So yeah, those over there for when I review them. But yeah, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, the Blu-ray. Very surprising film. Very crazy, insane film that I was really not expecting at all. Looks great on Blu-ray. Sounds great. Has some really awesome features. Has a commentary, which I haven't really heard yet. Has a lot of good stuff to it. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer is a really great film. Really enjoy it. Oh yeah, let's put them right here. The next thing I got, which I was very happy to get, Phantasm, the 5-movie DVD collection. Now, I'm not sure if you guys were aware of this or not, but I had Phantasm 2 and 4 on DVD. And when this came out, this box set, because of Phantasm 5's release, I was like, well, I might as well sell 4 and 2 and pick up the box set. It's kind of like what I want to do with Nightmare on Elm Street. I have chunks of the franchise, but I don't have the full series yet on DVD. What I'm going to do is one day pick up either the DVD box set of Nightmare on Elm Street or the Blu-ray box set. Depends. Depends on which one I can find first, and depends on which one is a reasonable price. But Phantasm, the 5-movie collection, comes with Phantasm 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And man, what an awesome pickup this was for a great price as well. Now, if I take out the DVDs, I actually want to pause this real quick. I'll be right back because these take a while to get out. And just to show you guys the artwork on these DVDs, they're very, very well done. Got Phantasm 1, which I have not seen in the longest time. I really can't remember this movie, so if I watch it, it pretty much will be like the first time I actually, sit down and watch it. Because I remember being as a kid, be so creeped out by this movie that I don't really remember watching it too much. I remember just running out of the room or kind of like hiding, not really looking at the screen. So yeah, Phantasm 1. We have the Scream Factory DVD of Phantasm 2, which really surprised me because you have all these other ones are not Scream Factory, at least I don't think they are. And they just sort of threw in a Phantasm 2 Scream Factory. You got the artwork from the Scream Factory. I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Get Phantasm 2 Scream Factory just thrown in there. That's freaking amazing. The hardest one to find was Phantasm 3, because I had never seen an actual DVD copy of this before. The other movies, I've seen DVD copies for all of them except for Part 3. I've never, ever physically, seen a copy of Phantasm 3. So having Phantasm 3 is also awesome because I really did not know any existence of Phantasm 3 DVD. I'd never seen them before. Except for like, eBay and Amazon and stuff, but they were always just way too expensive for me to get. Phantasm 4, Oblivion, which I don't know when I'm gonna do these reviews, but I do know one day I want to sit down and watch them. I'm not really sure I'm gonna review them. Not too sure what's gonna happen because I got a lot of stuff playing right now. But Phantasm Oblivion, I have to get another shot because I haven't seen it in a long time. So, and the last time I watched it, I wasn't a big fan of it. But there's a lot of fans of this film, and I want to figure out why. So I'll rewatch it again, and I'll watch all these movies in order. So maybe I missed something, but I'm gonna watch it again, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, Phantasm 4, Oblivion, and Phantasm 5, Ravager, which I cannot wait to view. That was one of my most hyped movies of 2016 when this came out, because I could not wait to see Phantasm Ravager. So that's going to be a really good one to watch because I know zero about this film, so it'd be very cool to see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these DVDs back in the case, pause you guys again, and I'll be right back. Be back in a minute, guys. Yeah, overall, a very, very cool box set. Not really a box set, but just collection. It's very durable looking. It looks great, and I really cannot wait to see these movies. So yeah, Phantasm, the 5-movie collection. Very good price, very good pickup, and I am so happy that I was able to find this because the Phantasm movies are really hard to find on DVD. Especially like 1 and 3 and 4. I found 4 somehow. 2 is a little common, and so is Ravager. But like 1, 3, and 4, those are the ones that are really hard to find. Somehow I found part 4 for a reasonable price, but they're very hard to find, so it was very cool to get this. By the way, I know we're 11 minutes in and no review on Saw 7. Sorry about that. I'll probably put in the description a skip to point. So if you want to get to the review, skip to this point because I know it's ridiculous. I'm so sorry, but just had to talk about these real quick. Then I picked up Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness with Alice Cooper. Very, very cool looking movie. I have yet to see it, but I want to definitely give it a watch. So yeah, Prince of Darkness. And last, The Fly 2. This is the 2-disc special edition. To show you guys that real quick, kind of trying to speed this up so we can get to the actual review. Yeah, 2 discs of this. I have both movies on 2 discs. It's pretty cool. I've yet to see this movie, but I've heard it's pretty good. Okay, time to get to the actual review. Alright, so once again, I am so sorry for it taking this long to get to the review. 12 minutes, I am so sorry, but we are finally getting to the review of Saw the Final Chapter. Now, to get to this movie, I mean, it's kind of like it's so bad, it's like it's kind of stalling, but really, Saw 7 is bad. Just straight up, it's bad. And it sucks because it suffers from the main problem that Saw 4 had, is that this movie should have been way better than it is. Granted, I will give the movie credit where credit is due. Great makeup effects, fantastic traps. Score was okay. I did not mind the look at times. At times it looked cheap. But in other times, it had a decent atmosphere to it. And I actually think that this is the same guy who made Saw 6. I believe it is. So, the fact that, yeah, he's director of Saw 6. The fact that Saw 6 had one of the best atmospheres, and we're getting to this one where a little bit of that shines through, but honestly, most of it is kind of cheap looking. This movie came out in 2010, gets a 5.6 on IMDb. One of the lower rated Saw movies, which is crazy because, gore and trap wise, they did great. But really everything else they lacked in this film. And I think that this movie is the worst because, it has the least interesting characters. It has the worst characters in Saw. They're way worse than anybody in Saw 4, anybody in Saw 5. Even in Saw 6, you didn't really have the greatest characters, but this one is just the worst with that aspect because really everybody's forgettable. Even Dr. Gordon or Carrie Ills comes back in this film, and the way he plays Dr. Gordon kind of feels off. It doesn't really feel like Dr. Gordon that we know. It feels like a total different character. So we have that. I don't know. You don't really see too much of Jigsaw in this movie. You don't really have any flashbacks. I mean, you do have a couple where you actually do have Tobin Bell in there. But most of the time, you don't even really know about Jigsaw. I mean, Jigsaw was kind of in the background, which is shocking to me. This is one of those Saw movies, if any, that barely shows John Kramer or Jigsaw. And I get it because, like, when you get to this point, what's the point of keep showing flashbacks? I get that, but it's just shocking to me because you get to Saw 6 and 5 and 4, and they're heavily reliant on flashbacks. And then you get to this, and it's like John Kramer is in, like, maybe a couple flashbacks. That's it. It's like, what? You know, Tobin Bell not really being in the movie too much. The lead guy was pretty bad. Didn't really care about him. Didn't really care about his whole story of, oh, you faked being a victim of Jigsaw. Like, I didn't really care about that. I didn't really care about his tests. You know, you want a good test? Watch Saw 3. That has a great test of forgiveness and, you know, getting past what happened. Saw 2 is great. Saw 1's tests are great. I like Saw 6's test. It was, you know, decent. But here it's like you don't really care. It's like, okay, you don't care about what's going on. You don't care about the story. You don't care about the acting. So really, all you're watching it for is traps and gore, which I get at this point in the series. Why am I surprised? Because we're at part 7, the final chapter. And I don't even know if it was mean for this to be the final chapter, because when this was marketed, it was marketed as Saw 3D. Which, at least we got a subtitle for this. At least they gave us that. Because this would have been just called Saw 3D, I would not care for that. It's just like Texas Chainsaw 3D. I'm not a big fan of that title, because I feel it's lazy. I think Leatherface is a better title than Texas Chainsaw 3D. You know, Piranha 3D, which kind of works for that movie. But if they would have just called this Saw 3D or Resident Evil Afterlife, just call it Resident Evil 3D, I wouldn't care for it because you're not really changing it to tell us if it's a sequel, is it a prequel, is it a spinoff, what is it? It's important to have a good title for a horror film, I feel. And at least they didn't just, you know, do that and then slap a 3D right there. I know that some of the Blu-rays are just called Saw 3D. Mainly the DVDs are called Saw Final Chapter, but in the credits, the opening credits, there is no Final Chapter part, just Saw 3D. When it was marketed as Saw 3D. So I don't even know if they were going into this keeping in mind that's the Final Chapter, or if it didn't. I want to see actually how much money this made, because if it didn't make that much money, then it'd be like, oh, well, it was called Final Chapter because it didn't make that much money. But cost $20 million, made about $45 million in the U.S. Okay, so opening weekend, it made about $24 million wide release in the U.S. I was gonna say that worldwide is pretty bad with worldwide, but $20 million is the budget, $24 million opening weekend, and grossed about $45 million total in the U.S. That is, for a Saw movie, that's kind of bad. I mean, it's not a bomb. Obviously, it made back its budget and also a little bit way past that a little bit, but it's not like it's a huge hit. I mean, I don't know if they looked at that and they were like, okay, it didn't make as much money as we thought it was going to make, so we'll just call it the Final Chapter. But yeah, I mean, no good characters, no good actors. Atmosphere is so-so. It's meh at times, and then other times it looks cheap. Really, all it has is gore and traps. Gore and traps is all this movie has, and maybe some decent music here and there. Also, I mean, I really like how they have a cameo from Chester Bennington. That was really awesome. Hoffman was pretty brutal in this film. Jill didn't have anything to do in this movie, so really, Jill was just sort of meh. She didn't really have anything to do in this film. It focuses. Okay, so Saw, the final chapter, let's get to the story. Saw, the final chapter picks up right after Saw 6, where Jill tried to kill Hoffman. Hoffman escapes, and Jill also gets away from him. And he sews up where he ripped his pretty much jaw out. He sews it up, fixes it up. And I like this, how we have Hoffman just this crazed madman who's taken the games and just totally turned it on its head. I like how it's like the police know about him and they're trying to track him down, and he's leaving little clues. Okay, that part was interesting, but they barely show that part. Instead of it being that, where it really is about that. I mean, Hoffman, they know it's Hoffman, the police do. Jill goes to the police, offers information for protection. They get mad at her because she tried to kill Hoffman, so they lock her up, but they also keep her in the safe house. That's what I go, safe house, because I'll get to that in a minute. And Hoffman is on the run. They're after him. You have traps going on, which I'll get to. The police are chasing after him. I didn't care for the detective or anybody else in the police, but I like the idea of the police going after Hoffman and being a goose chase, and I like the little clues that he leaves behind, and I like that. It was different. Usually it's they're trying to figure out who's Jigsaw, and then when they finally die, that's mainly what 4 and 5 and 6 had in common. It was like, or not really 6, but at least 4 and 5 had in common where they find out who Jigsaw is and they die. So at least here it's like they know who it is. They're trying to chase after him. It made it different, But that is a very small portion of the story, and it's mainly about the twist. The main story is about this guy right here, who is a bad actor. I did not care for his performance. I want to get who it was real quick. Sean Patrick Ellery, Bobby, which is known for the Boondock Saints 2, and Powder. Now, I haven't seen the Boondock Saints yet. Maybe I should, but I haven't seen that yet. But he was starring with William Dafoe and Norman Reedus, so he's actually a big character in that film. So maybe I check out those movies. But in this movie, I did not care for his acting. Now, granted, like I said, I haven't seen Boondock Saints yet. I know I'm crazy. I haven't seen it yet. But, at least in this movie, his acting is bad. I did not care for his character. It was just throwaway character, and there was not really any good dialogue from him. I did not care about the test that he was being put through where, he had to find out, is he truly a survivor? Are you a real survivor? And it's like, it's just there to have traps. You don't care about it. It's not impactful. The good thing about the earlier Saw movies is that when people die, you feel like the characters are good, so that they're well acted. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm getting twisted up here, but let's retry that. Okay, so in the first 3 movies, if the character dies, you actually feel impact because the characters are well developed in the first 3 movies. Here it's like just throwaway characters. You don't care about these characters. You don't really know too much about them. They're just sort of there for traps. And granted, good gore, really great gore, fantastic makeup effects in this film. This is probably one of the goriest Saw movies, along with Saw 3 and Saw 6, and stuff like that. So it is one of the gorier Saw movies. I really like that. Traps are inventive. Some are dull, but some are inventive. I'll get to them in a second. But really, it has a lot of problems. I mean, with the main test at hand, as because it cuts back and forth between the Hoffman story and this guy's story, Bobby. And he has to get to the end of this test to save his girlfriend. And when he gets to the end of it, he has to put hooks through his muscles right here, through his chest right here. And he has to pull himself up. And if he gets to the top, he can free his girlfriend. And of course, he's on his way to the top to plug in this thing, and really gory where it rips through, and he fails, and his girlfriend gets cooked alive. Brutal scene, but that's pretty much all that is. It's just filler. There's not much to that scene. There's not much to that onto that scene, but to that storyline. I mean, you have a trap where this girl has a fishing hook down in her, and he has to pull it out. And if she makes any noise, these like spikes get closer and closer to impaling her. Very, very brutal trap. You have this one trap where he has to lift this bar, and if he doesn't, these spikes will go through the girl's eyes and gouge her eyes out and pretty much impale her face. That was a brutal trap. The hangman trap, where if this guy falls, he gets hung. He drops this key, and he runs out of time, and he gets hung. You have one of Bobby's traps where he has to pull his teeth out to find this combination. Brutal, brutal test. And throughout the rest of the movie, I mean, you have a couple other traps where you have Chester Bennington. Rest in peace to Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. He did a really good job in this movie. I mean, you really felt that he was in pain in this film because he's glued to the seat because him and his friends are racists. And he has to pull his back off of the seat, and it's like peeling his skin away. Just brutal, brutal scene. And you have it where, while that's going on, he runs out of time. It rips this guy's jaw out and his arms off, like this car does. It like flattens on this girl and like runs her face over, hits this other guy. Chester Bennington hits this thing. His character like kind of flies through the windshield. Crazy, crazy scene. You have the beginning of the movie's trap, which I really like, the love triangle trap, where there's two Sauls and there's a Saul up here, and I think we're breaking up with you, Lisa, whatever that guy says, and then it cuts her. So yeah, good traps. And at the end of Bobby's test, Bobby fails. He doesn't succeed. You have Hoffman pretty much set up these traps where it kills the detectives that are after him, and then he goes to the police station, or the safe house, as they call it. Freaking sneaks in there with a little pocket knife and goes in there and kills everybody. A little pocket knife in a safe house. There's like a handful of police there, and he goes in there with a little pocket knife and kills all of them. Gets to jail, puts the reverse bear trap on her, rips her face open. I'm like, okay, you build the Jill character up from part 4 to now, and you just kill her off. All right. They're setting it up to where you think that Hoffman's gonna get away with everything, and then you find out that the freaking bull crap, one of the worst twists in the series, at least in my opinion, one of the worst ones, one of the ones I could not stand, where Dr. Gordon pretty much, syringes Hoffman, knocks him out. And the weird thing is that there's Gordon, and then there's two other people in the background wearing the pig masks, and you don't know who they are, and they never explain it. In Jigsaw, they don't explain it. And here, they don't explain who they are. So he just has random people behind him that we never know about, never find out about, who I guess are also, I don't know if they're apprentices or students of Jigsaw, but, Gordon helped Jigsaw out on some of his traps. So I guess maybe maybe a student, I'm not too sure. But you find that Dr. Gordon helped do the eye trap from Saw 2, and he's always been there, along with Hoffman and Amanda. I'm like, this is the point in the series where it became bullcrap, and it became even more bullcrap with Saw or Jigsaw, not Saw 8, it's Jigsaw. And Hoffman was already kind of like a storyline where it's like, okay, how did Amanda, how is he not in these flashbacks and how is he not here? In this movie, Gordon was involved as well with Hoffman and Amanda and the other guy from Jigsaw. It's like, at this point, it's bullcrap. I'm calling bullcrap. I'm sorry. I can only go so far at that whole thing until I'm going bullcrap. And you found that he locks Hoffman in the same room from the first movie, the bathroom. Hoffman goes for the saw. Gordon picks up the saw. You have a great scene where he kind of, reminiscence of like the first movie. He goes, I don't think so. He throws the saw. 3D effect that was stupid, but he throws the saw. Steps out of the room. Game over. Closes the door. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. So, Saw 7 is kind of a sad ending for the series. Well, at least it was meant to be the ending until Jigsaw. At least Jigsaw was better than this movie. I think this movie, again, I mean, I yelled at it a couple times, but like Saw 5, I can't totally hate it because it does have gore, it does have traps, it does have some interesting stuff about it that I like. But overall, I mean, it's the worst Saw movie for a reason. It's a mediocre film that just it's a horrible film. There's not much else I can say about it. It's just badly directed, badly shot for most of the time, just terrible acting, horrible characters, and a terrible storyline, and a bad twist. So, yeah, I mean, to end this review, it's been fun revisiting this series again and reviewing the films. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's honestly been very fun because even though Saw 4 and 5 is when it kind of went downhill for a minute, I mean, Saw movies are still fun to watch. Whether they're good, whether they're bad. That's the thing about this franchise is that it's still fun to watch. You can still sit down and have a Saw marathon and have lots of fun with it. There are a couple bad ones. Saw 4, Saw 5, this one. But there are also some great ones. The first 3, Saw 6, even Jigsaw is okay. I think it's alright. But the series, I feel, is a very underrated series because a lot of people look at what the series became and not what it was. And what it started out to be with Saw 1, 2, and 3. And then when we got to Saw 4, it kind of entered that whole torture porn aspect, and then the whole series was kind of known for that. But overall, the series, I think, is still a fun time to watch. When it got to some of the later sequels, it started going downhill. But you still have some great movies in this franchise, and it's a franchise that I honestly, revisiting again, had lots of fun to revisit, and it's one of my favorites, one of my favorite franchises. But I hope you guys enjoyed the reviews. Sorry that it took me so long to get to Saw 7's review. Sorry that the review is 32 minutes long. I was kind of all over the place in this review. I do apologize for that, but I hope you guys enjoyed. This is a little bit more of an old school review where I just kind of turned the camera on and rambled. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching, and the Explorer 4 is out. See you guys later.